while ago, I was having a conversation on the channel with a good mate of mine, Sam Barber, and we were talking about a recent controversy that she'd found herself in the middle of about tattoo schools. Now, I'm not going to go over all of that again, because if you want to listen to that conversation, then you can just find the episode. It's about, I don't know, about 6 episodes back or something. But like I was saying to you, with a lot of these conversations, when I get to the end of them and I've finished editing them, I normally end up with a couple of other thoughts or a couple of other questions. And this was no different. You know, there was, you see what happened was, while I was doing the research for the conversation, I'd noticed that one of these tattoo school owners had kind of said to Sam, it's not your industry, it's for everybody. Just get on with your tattooing type of thing. And so that bothered me, this idea that it's not your industry, it's not anybody's industry. So the idea that anybody should be able to just buy some stuff off Amazon and start tattooing, or open a tattoo school with no background in education and, you know, no way of giving people proper certificates or any kind of like proper checked training, you know, no learning outcomes or modules, you know, all that sort of stuff. And so, as you can imagine, I end up with the question, so if it's not my industry and it's not your industry, whose industry is it? But actually, as I was doing the research for the piece that I was writing for Total, I kind of realised that actually the bigger question, as I started to do my research, was, do we need gatekeepers? Is that exactly the reason why we need gatekeepers, for unscrupulous people like this that come along and promise unsuspecting kids this, you know, I don't know, glitterati lifestyle or something? Is that the reason why we need a gatekeeper? And I know that, you know, the term gatekeeping is not best liked by most people, but I thought, well, are there some examples of unregulated industries? Because in England, tattooing is considered an unregulated industry. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. I can only comment on England. But in England, there is nothing legally to stop you, with no training, buying yourself a kit, and, you know, from Amazon, eBay, any one of these sort of places, setting yourself up in a building, registering with your local health authority, and that's basically it. They don't check the quality of your artwork or even if you can tattoo. The problem with unregulated industries is that if that kind of thing happens, generally, pretty soon after that, regulation turns up. And this became my argument for why gatekeeping in certain industries is not necessarily the worst way of regulating the industry. And so I wrote about it in Total, and I recorded a piece for it, put it up on the channel. And then when I stopped doing the video stuff and just started doing audio, like the other ones that you've been listening to recently, it just got lost in the shuffle. So not only am I putting it up on here for you to listen to it while I think about it, if you want to read any of my old Total columns, what I do is I put them all up on my website in the blog section. So you go over to thisisourstodestroy.com, more on why I've changed my website recently in a future episode, and then just go into the menu and select blog and podcast. And you can read everything that I've put up there that I've written for Total. And you can also listen to this very podcast direct from my website without having to have a streaming service that you pay for or anything. It's just there. You just play it. Don't have to pay nothing. Away you go. You may be sitting there going, no, all gatekeeping is bad. Well, hopefully what's coming up will convince you that sometimes gatekeeping is a better option. Recently, a controversy has raged through tattooing. It didn't begin with scandalous leaks or exposés. It started with something much simpler. Respected artist Sam Barber posted her concerns about the way tattoo schools promote themselves. She didn't rant, not much, and she didn't throw accusations, not many. She just said what most of us have been thinking, that these schools are pushing a fantasy of fast money and rockstar lifestyles, all while showing very little actual tattooing skill. The result? There was a firestorm of memes, petty insults and defensive rants. But buried in the noise was one line that stopped me cold. A tattoo school owner hit back with, "It's not your industry, it's for everyone." And that got me thinking, if it's not my industry and it's not our industry, then whose industry is it? Tattooing doesn't belong to any single artist. None of us own it. But that doesn't make it a free-for-all. Tattooing is a culture, a craft, and right now we, the working artists, are its custodians. That means it's our responsibility to look after it, to make sure it survives the wave of hype and cash grabs, and to pass it on in a healthier state than when we found it. History will judge us. Future generations will look back and ask, were we the artists who protected the craft, or the ones who stood by while it was hollowed out and sold as lifestyle content? Scratchers have always existed. The term is old tattoo slang for amateurs whose main motivation is money. They cut corners, they skip apprenticeships, but they care more about what they can get than what they can give. But what's changed is the marketing. Today's scratchers don't hide in basements. They're front and centre on Instagram. They show off the rented supercars and fake designer gear as proof of their success. What they rarely show is their actual tattooing. And when they do, it's usually shaky, shallow, and unsafe. The danger isn't just the scratchers themselves though, it's the culture they create. When newcomers see this behaviour rewarded, they start believing tattooing is about lifestyle first and craft second. Standards sink, clients suffer, and eventually governments step in. Because when scratchers multiply, infections rise, bad practices spread, and public trust collapses. And when that happens, regulation is inevitable. These days, gatekeeping is treated like a dirty word, but in an unregulated art form, gatekeeping is often the only thing standing between quality and chaos. At its best, gatekeeping isn't about arrogance, it's about standards. It's about saying, this is what safe, skilled tattooing looks like. And if you're not there yet, you need more time, more training, and more respect for the craft. Many other creative fields work exactly the same way. For instance, the Guild of St. Luke in 17th century Europe said that painters couldn't sell work in cities like Antwerp unless they were guild members. To join, you had to apprentice, train, and prove your skill. It wasn't perfect, but it kept standards high and protected buyers from being ripped off. In the ballet and classical music, you don't just walk into an orchestra or onto a stage. You audition, you train for years, and not everyone makes it. That exclusivity isn't cruelty, it's respect for the art and for the audience. As of 2024, in Wales, all tattooists and premises must be licensed. Practitioners need training in infection control, and only approved shops can operate. Over 4,000 artists and 2,000 shops are now under that system. That's gatekeeping in action, a filter to stop scratchers putting clients at risk. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. And finally, in the EU, recently, thousands of harmful chemicals were banned, but that forced manufacturers and by extension artists to raise their standards. Another gate closed, but for the right reasons. Gatekeeping can be abused, yeah. But no gates at all? Well, that's definitely worse, and that's how standards collapse. Here's an uncomfortable truth. If tattooists don't act as stewards of the craft, then lawmakers will. And when politicians write rules, they don't ask working artists how needles feel in the skin. They don't know the difference between good healing and bad, and they don't understand how creativity mixes with safety. They write blunt laws that often hurt the very people who care the most about doing things right. We've seen this story before. Industries that fail to self-regulate get regulated from the outside. Tattooing is already on that path. The only question is, do we shape it ourselves, or do we let people who don't understand decide for us? Being a steward doesn't mean slamming the door on everyone new. It means building fair gates. Like apprenticeships that teach but don't exploit. Licensing that enforces safety without killing artistry. Public registers that make it easy for clients to find skilled, trustworthy artists. And a culture where showing healed work matters more than showing off cars. That's how you keep the gate strong, but fair. When someone says it's not your industry, it's for everyone, what they're really saying is, stop holding me accountable. But accountability is the job. Stewardship is the job. If we don't protect tattooing, it will get carved up by opportunists, scratchers, and lawmakers who don't care about the art. So whose industry is it? It's not the scratchers. It's not the hustlers selling shortcuts. It belongs to the people who put in the hours, the ones who learn, who sweat, and who make the art that lasts. The custodians who know tattooing isn't a hustle, it's a craft. It's ours, and it's ours to destroy or defend.